welcome to The Joy of Art. I'm Jim Pence, and we're going to have some fun today with watercolors. Have you ever wanted to paint a watercolor picture with nice billowy clouds? If you go outside and you look at clouds, a lot of times when people paint them, they just paint them stark white, but you'll see that clouds pick up a lot of the color of the sky, the color of things around them. So I'm going to show you today and in our next segment just a couple easy ways to do cloudy skies. I've got sort of a demonstration here. You can see that I've got a small piece of watercolor paper, and it's got some nice billowy clouds there. They're not just pure white, but they give you the feel of clouds. You want to be careful when you do a watercolor painting that unless your painting is a skyscape, unless the focal point of your painting are the clouds, or it is a cloud bank, you don't want to make the clouds so dramatic that it takes away from the rest of your picture. But it is possible to have a nice set of billowy clouds that will add and enhance your painting, and they're kind of fun to do. Now, before I go into that, I want to show you a couple practice paintings that I did in addition to this one, and it's to make a point. And the point is, I've said before in the watercolor lessons that I do that the quality of your watercolor paper is very, very important, and if you get cheap paper, you're going to get results that probably aren't going to be what you want. So I want to show you the difference. Now, here's another demo that I did with the paper that I normally use, which is Arches 140-pound cold press paper, and as you can see, I've got fairly nice cloud effect. I didn't really like that one because I actually didn't lighten the sky as much as I wanted to, particularly when you look at this one. But I was playing around. But just to give you some contrast, here is the same technique on a piece of fairly cheap paper. Now, what I want you to notice, first of all, is right up here, when I took the tape off, the surface of the paper tore. That, again, just kind of an indicator that the paper is not nearly as good. Also, if you look at the clouds, there are some similarities, and yet if you get in even closer, I'm going to bring this up a little closer. I don't know if the camera will focus in on it. It's going to adjust a little bit, but it's kind of messing things up, so I'm going to move it back down. If you look, you'll see that the clouds are much more mottled because the paper has a rougher surface. Some of the paint kind of pools in some areas, and you have just, in my opinion, results that are not satisfactory. So all that is to say, get the best paper that you can afford. A sheet of Arches 140-pound cold press paper will cost you about $5. One sheet is 22 by 30 inches, and if you break that up into smaller pieces like I do here and paint on both sides, you can do pretty well. And also, because watercolor paper, this is 100% cotton rag, you can actually kind of soak this paper, commandeer the bathtub for a little while, or if you have a utility sink, after you've done some paintings, if you want to practice more, soak the paper. You can generally work out most of the color. Again, because it's a practice sheet, you're not going to be too worried about it being perfect, but it will help you stretch your dollar a little bit. So here is the demo. I want to show you what I'm going to use in this. I'm going to use a 2-inch wide brush, and I have a good quality. This is a Daler Rowney 2-inch brush. You don't have to get something quite that big. Any good 2-inch China bristle brush, even a painter's brush. I at times also will use foam craft, those foam craft paint brushes. Don't have any handy, but you can get a cheapy brush like this. That's 1.5 inches. We'll do the same thing. The main thing with the cheaper brushes is sometimes the bristles are going to come out on you, so you have to watch that. But for this, all I'm using this brush for is going to be wetting down the paper. I have a smaller brush that I'm going to show here. This is an 1-inch wide brush, and I'm going to actually use that for putting the paint on the paper. For creating my clouds, I have a piece of natural sponge, and I've got my trusty baby wipes. If you watched very many of my videos, you know I love baby wipes. I actually started using them for when I would do a chalk drawing at a church or whatever, and I like to get my hand clean before the service is over so I can shake hands with people and not get them all dirty. And baby wipes, I always try to keep those up on the platform with me so I can just wash my hands real quick and get the first layer of chalk off. But I had some baby wipes that I'd kept too long and they dried out, and before I threw them out, I decided to try using them as blotters and things to clean my brushes on when I'm doing watercolors, and I just found I love them. So if you have some baby wipes around the house that have gone dry on you, don't throw them out. Use them for your watercolors. And I have a water container here. This one I like. It divides 4 ways, so I can keep my clean water and my dirty water separate. And of course I have, I forgot to tell you the paint. I'm going to be using Daler Rowney watercolor. This is cerulean blue, which is a nice sky blue color. You can experiment with some different kinds of colors. Ultramarine blue, in fact that's what this one is. This is a French ultramarine blue. Try different colors, see what you like best. That's the fun of watercolors, getting to try some different things. So that's what I'm going to use. Now, if all you have are the pan watercolors, the dry ones, that's perfectly okay. Use what you can use. If you've got good paper, you'd be surprised to how much the low-cost watercolors, how better they look when you use them on the better quality paper. I also have this is just one of my palettes here that I use for watercolors. Again, you can buy these at an art supply store, not very expensive. You don't have to have this. A plain styrofoam plate will work just fine. Again, there are ways to keep your costs down and still have a lot of fun. Now I'm going to remove my demo and we'll work on this. I'm going to try and zoom in just a little bit closer, so excuse me for moving the camera. That tends to goof things up a little bit. Now once we start, I'm going to have to move fairly quickly. Let's scoot this over so you can maybe see my paints as I get in there. Let me rearrange all my goodies. I'm left-handed, so I tend to keep the stuff that I'm using on my left so that I can reach it quickly, but I have a very cluttered desk, and they say a cluttered desk is a sign of a genius. I don't know if that's true or not, but I certainly have a cluttered desk. All right, let's rearrange one more time. And first thing I'm going to do is go into my water, get a good brush full of water, and I'm going to wet my paper down very, very wet. Sometimes you work on a dry piece of paper, other times wet, and this is definitely the technique I'm about to show you is a wet and wet technique. Now I've mentioned before, when I do a wash like this and want to get the paper wet, what I don't want to see are puddles. Okay, puddles are not our friend. What I want to see is a nice glistening piece of paper. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my baby wipes here, and I'm going to just go around this because you may not be able to see it, but I've got a lot of extra water here, and past experience has shown me if I don't take that off, if I start to move the paper to help blend the colors, then that water is going to drip in and create the ever-dreaded blossom. And you've heard me talk about blossoms before. Okay, I'm going over this now with a wet brush, but the brush, I haven't added any water to it. I'm just using the water that was already in it, and I've got a very nice sheen. The paper is glistening, but there are no visible puddles. I'm going to come back in one more time very quickly and take out this extra water. And now it's time for the fun. So I am going to use my 1-inch brush. You get a little bit of water there. You notice some paint was in it. That's I don't leave my brushes dirty. I just that's left over from my practice session that I did. I always do a good practice session before I do these, so I don't get in the middle of a project and then realize, oh, this isn't going to work. So I've got my my brush good here. I'm going over now to my cerulean blue. I'm going to move that over so maybe you can watch a little bit as I mess with the paint before I put it on there. Going in, and I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to get it pretty thick. Now I'm going to add some water to this, but one thing that you want to keep in mind as you work with watercolors is that watercolors dry about 50% lighter than you see them go on. So if you want a strong sky, you need to actually paint it a little bit darker than you think it should be, and then it will dry out about right. I'm going to come over here, blot off a little of the extra water that I've got in here, and now to create my sky, I'm going to just bring it across. I'm going to come back here, get some more paint. Okay, I want it very strong toward the top of the paper, but I'm going to just keep going, and a little lighter pressure, no extra paint, and I go down and kind of fade out toward the bottom. And I come back here again, add a little bit more pigment in at the top. Again, I have to work fairly fast because if this dries, I'm not going to be able to get my clouds in. So come in here. Alright, that's probably about it. Okay, I'm going to do what I call the steering wheel maneuver. Whoops, didn't mean to do that, but that's okay. I just started with a different kind of cloud than I'd expected. Hey, I'm going to use baby wipe and a sponge. Alright, I'm coming in. I'm going to just start out with the sponge, and since my baby wipe kind of created a happy accident there by wiping across. Okay, I've taken a little bit of water off with the sponge. Okay, I'm going to come back in now with my baby wipe, and I'm just going to really blot my clouds in. I'm going to come down toward the bottom and kind of lighten this a little bit, model it. Okay, let me get another baby wipe, a little bit more dry surface. Okay, I'm just kind of folding it up, coming in here. I'm pushing pretty hard because I want to blot a lot of that water out. So if you want to get certain parts of the clouds lighter, you're going to blot that out. Remember, don't make it an even white, because if you look up at the clouds in the sky, you're going to see they don't look solid white. Okay, and there you have it. I could play with that more and more, but again, unless the clouds are the primary focus of my painting, I'm probably going to leave it at that. I might come back in and tweak it a little bit, but for the most part, I kind of like how it's turning out. I see one area that I need to maybe lift a little bit of color out, but I like that. A few weeks from now, maybe we'll come back in and see about laying something in on top of here to see how we could turn this into a painting. But for now, that's one way to create a cloudy sky. So I hope that you will take some watercolor paper and some watercolors and try this out. Have some fun, and be sure and send me photos of your pictures that you do. I'd love to see them, and we will put them on the website and the blog. You got to send them to us though, because if you don't send them, we can't put them on. So thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you'll take it and practice it, and we will see you next time on The Joy of Art.